Where is Fargo, North Dakota located at? And what is life living in the Fargo-Moorhead metro like? In this video, I'm breaking down where Fargo, North Dakota is, some of its history and its growth, and how it's gotten to the point it is at today of the fastest growing city in the whole entire state of North Dakota, and also the biggest city in the whole entire state of North Dakota. But it wasn't always like that. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Zach Sikora, your Fargo real estate agent. And if you have any interest in buying a home, selling a home, or relocating here to the Fargo-Moorhead metro, you can schedule a call with me through the link in the description below. So let's jump right into a little bit about Fargo, what it's like, where it's at, and how it is important and one of the fastest growing cities here in the whole entire state of North Dakota and the whole entire Midwest. First up, of course, you gotta know, where is Fargo at? Fargo is located on the eastern side of North Dakota, also on the border with Minnesota. Fargo is with the twin city of Moorhead, which is located in Minnesota, so it makes it really unique that there's two different cities, two different states, and one metro here. So it's around 250,000 total people. Of course, there's other cities within the Fargo-Moorhead metro, not just Fargo and Moorhead, like West Fargo, Horace, Harwood, and Dilworth. There's a lot of cities like that around the area, but the main two are Fargo-Moorhead. Fargo being on the North Dakota side, Moorhead being on the Minnesota side. They're split right down the middle by the Red River, and it's located on the intersection of I-29 and I-94, the two interstates here, and it's a really central location. It's about 3 or 4 hours from Minneapolis, and it's about 4 hours from the border to Canada. So you have really easy access to big cities like Minneapolis, then going south to Falls, and of course going up to Canada, then also going western to the state capital of Bismarck. Fargo is located here on the eastern side of North Dakota, like I said, right on the border between North Dakota and Minnesota, split by the Red River, with Moorhead around 250,000 total people. Now, like I said, like 2 or 3 times already, Fargo is one of the fastest growing cities here in the whole entire Midwest, and it's the biggest city in the state of North Dakota. But it wasn't always like that. So we're just gonna take a little dive into how Fargo began and how it got to where it's at today. Fargo has come a long way from its beginnings. It began all the way back in 1870s as a tiny railroad town on the Red River, literally being built around the Northern Pacific Railway. It was originally called Centralia before being changed to Fargo, named after William Fargo of the Wells Fargo fame. From that humble start, Fargo quickly became a key hub for agriculture and trade across the upper Midwest. And fast forward to today, Fargo is now the largest city in North Dakota. At the 2020 census, it had 126,000 people. That's just in the city of Fargo. And as 2024, it has grown to 136,000 people, which is growing in 10,000 people in just 4 years. And that's just Fargo, not including West Fargo, not including Moorhead, Dilworth, and Horace. And that's a 2% annual growth rate since 2000 and a 46% increase in the last 2 decades in population. So in fact, between 2010 and 2020 alone, the city of Fargo added nearly 20,000 people, nearly a 20% jump. While the whole entire Fargo-Moorhead metro, like I said before, has around 250,000 people, growing close to 260,000 people now, and a lot of things are fueling this growth. First off, the economy in Fargo is very, very strong. One of the lowest unemployment rates in the whole entire country, and there's major employers here in both healthcare, tech, education, manufacturing, and pretty much every industry, along with being a great place to start a business here in the Fargo-Moorhead metro. Then also mix that with affordable housing, low taxes, some of the reasons why so many people move here, but it's so much more than just that. People relocate here for the quality of life, the safe neighborhoods, the family-friendly commutes, the vibrant downtown, which is very uncommon for North Dakota specifically, and the ton of activities that you wouldn't expect in a place in North Dakota. So yeah, Fargo started as a little railroad stop and has now grown to a big, thriving city, and one that's drawing more and more people in every year. And the thing is, that growth has no sign of slowing down. So that was a little history on Fargo. Of course, being started as a small town, a small railroad town, like many other places have in North Dakota and in the Midwest, is grown to a major economical hub and is growing a ton every single year. Some of the places where I'm seeing the most growth is in West Fargo and in Horace. So now we're just gonna jump into a couple different things of what it's actually like to live here. What is the community like? What are the schools like? What are the jobs like? We're just gonna break that down into some different sections right now. So first up, of course, we gotta talk about the housing. So Fargo has very, very affordable housing. The average price of a home in Fargo is around $350,000. Then the average price of a home in Moorhead is around $270,000. So you may think, okay, why is there such a difference in Fargo compared to Moorhead? And the difference is because of the taxes. So again, you gotta think, being 2 different states, Moorhead in Minnesota and Fargo in North Dakota, there's different policies and different ways the government is run. Moorhead and Minnesota have significantly higher income taxes than North Dakota does. North Dakota has some of the lowest income taxes in the whole entire country. So obviously the houses are a little bit cheaper in Moorhead, but it evens out when you consider your income in with your income taxes. So they're both relatively the same when you consider it that way. Then also the fact Fargo has a lot more bigger homes and just a lot more houses in general. So they're going to be more expensive and it's going to jump that average price up. But again, this is very affordable when you compare it to other places around the country. The average price of a home on the national scale is around $390,000, almost to $400,000. So making it very affordable. You mix that with the low income tax, makes it a really great place to live. And again, to house all these people that are moving to Fargo, there's a million different spots with new construction happening, especially in West Fargo, especially in Horace, especially in South Fargo. There's a ton of new homes being built, and there's a ton of different styles of houses. That's one of the most unique things about Fargo that I think really not any other town in North Dakota has, is the uniqueness. So you have historical homes that were built, from the 1800s, 1900s, 1920s in like the downtown Fargo area. Some of the neighborhoods over there, Clara Barton over in that area, Hawthorne, those are more historic neighborhoods. So you have the more character homes. Some of them are bigger homes. Then of course, every decade going up from that, there's houses being built, all the way to the $1 to $2 million modern houses that are being built now in some areas of Horace, all the way, there's everything. There's so many different options. There's a million different twin homes, condos, things in downtown Fargo to live in for people who like to live in the downtown, new construction houses, opportunity to build, and Fargo is continuing to grow. So that's a big reason I think it's continuing to grow, is there's so many different opportunities for housing where you're not stuck to one thing. Now, even if you're not at the point where you're ready to buy a house or you're in a house, there's still a ton of different options for apartments. There's a lot of luxury apartments being built in Fargo, and there's a lot of apartment buildings being built all over the place. Most notably in Eagle Ridge, which is over in the West Fargo over in that area. There's a ton of different apartment buildings being built, a lot of different areas for housing, and we need those areas for housing because of how many people are moving to this area and how fast the growth is of this Fargo-Moorhead Metro. And if you're considering buying a house or selling a house here in the Fargo-Moorhead Metro, you're just not really sure what styles are out there and what that process looks like, you can go ahead again and schedule a call through the link in the description. I'd be happy to help you out or give you some more information on houses here in the Fargo-Moorhead area. So the next thing I'm going to talk about, which is probably one of the most notable things people talk about when they think about Fargo, which is the weather. So Fargo obviously has cold winters. The temperatures are, routinely sitting from 10 degrees to 20 degrees and routinely get below zero. But then also in the summers, it sits from 80 to 90 degrees. It can get above 100 degrees too. So with that temperature variance, there's a lot of temperature variance, and we actually have 4 distinct seasons here in Fargo, which is really, really nice when you compare it to some other places across the country. So we have a distinct fall. The leaves are going to change colors, they're going to fall, that sort of thing. Distinct winter, it's going to be cold, it's going to snow. We're getting about 50 inches of snow every single year. Have a distinct spring, it's going to rain, the flowers, the grass, it's all going to be growing, it's going to get really green. Then of course we have a summer too. So 4 distinct seasons. That's one thing that I really like about Fargo in the Midwest. It's always switching it up. So it's not hot all the time, it's not cold all the time. It's switching it up, which is what I like about living in this Fargo-Moorhead area. But again, it's a thing of preference of what people like, but that's one thing that people, when they move to this Fargo-Moorhead area across the country or from other places across the world, the next thing you need to know about Fargo is what the job and the economy is like. So you heard me mention it in my little intro about Fargo, but the economy is very, very strong here in Fargo, which is part of the reason why it's been growing so much. The unemployment rate here in Fargo is 2.3%, which is one of the lowest areas here in the whole entire country. So again, you combine that with, like I said before, the low income tax. The North Dakota income tax brackets range from 0% to below 4%, when the Minnesota tax brackets start at 4% and they get above 7%. So you got to realize that when you're moving to Fargo or to Moorhead, you just got to know the income tax brackets, that your money's going to go a little bit farther on the North Dakota side compared to the Minnesota side. But again, still with that, it's a very strong economy here, again, with all the jobs. With the healthcare, with Sanford and Essentia hospitals, the tech with Microsoft being the biggest one here, of course, businesses being started here or businesses being headquartered here like Bobcat, then of course, education too. North Dakota State University, a very major college here, and then of course the mix of the million different high schools, elementary schools, preschools, other colleges here for people to work at, because you have to have somewhere for all those kids to be sent to school. The schools are constantly growing here. We constantly have new schools being built, referendums being made for new schools or for areas for new schools. because the growth is so significant. So that's something you need to consider if you're moving here. What school district are you going to be in? What is your job? Where's your commute? What's that going to look like? But it's a very, very strong job economy here in Fargo, which is one of the main reasons, of course, it's growing when you compare it to other places across the state of North Dakota. Last up, and another major factor which brings people to Fargo and what life is actually like here, is the culture, the art scene, and the things to do here. Fargo was the #1 ranked city in the nation for cities for Gen Z workers to live and work and enjoy. Now, a couple reasons for this. Fargo has a Fargo downtown with a ton of breweries, wineries, things to do, nightlife, very uncommon for the rest of the state of North Dakota. None of the rest of the state of North Dakota can match the Fargo downtown. Now, it's not as good as some places like Minneapolis or Chicago, but it's very good for this area. So it also brings that mix of the Midwest feel with the culture downtown, so you get kind of that happy medium of both. Then there's a lot of local events here year round, the Frostable, Street Fair, Red River Market. There's a ton of markets and festivals. Street Fair is a really major one here in Fargo. It has over 150,000 people in attendance to the Street Fair. A lot of great activities like that, and again, they're year round. It's not just in the winter, it's not just in the summer. There's things to do year round. Then of course, with having so many people here, there's a ton of different activities, you know, like sweet shots, like bowling, like kingpins, all that sort of thing, escape rooms. All of that is available here in Fargo when it's not available other places in the state. Another reason why people love to live here, move here, and what life is actually like here in Fargo. Then of course, with that too, there's a lot of parks, there's a lot of things to do outside. We're right on the Red River, so there's a lot of things to do with the Red River, to go kayaking, you know, boating, fishing, that sort of thing. Very popular thing to do. Again, along with all those things, activities for both inside, outside, all times of year, making Fargo a very desirable place to live that's community oriented, family friendly, and very welcoming, and definitely does fit that Midwest nice vibe. So thanks for watching this video. This was just a little bit about Fargo, where it's at, what it's like, some things about Fargo, and if you're considering making a move to or from this Fargo-Moorhead area, you can find all my contact information in the description below, and thanks for watching this video.